This meeting is being recorded.
I repeat the question again. What's one way you used your money last year that you feel particularly good about?
I have to really start thinking.
Yes, and we
would-
have the question in the chat box also for people to quickly look at it.
I think I'd have to say I started investing last year, so I felt pretty good about that to get started. Come on, guys. Waiting for your nice traveling. Good.
Lovely.
Went on a vacation, opened a current account. Great. Yeah. The satisfaction that is, different. So yeah, any more answers?
I started charity and sponsoring 4 children this year, and I feel very grateful for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my next question. If you were your own money coach, what would you say to yourself? I repeat, if you were your own money coach, what would you advise? What advice would you give to yourself? I would request you guys to please mute yourselves so that there's less disturbance. I've also pasted the question in the chat box. Okay, maintain proper financial records.
Nice. Track your
Track my
expenses.
expenses. Nice. Save for the future. Great. You're seeing people have the right mindset here, so that is good. Live within your means. Yes, very important. Yeah. Okay, so I think moving on, I will, over to Vidya ma'am now.
Thank you, Steffi. So that was a real, kickoff starting. We could see a lot of, engaging answers. So please bring it in, make it more interactive. So the session is going to be really engaging only if we could see, more engagement from all of you. So please bring it in, all your doubts and clarifications, please put it in the chat box. We will pick it up towards the end of the session. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Anu Seth again. She's come to our platform. Thank you, Anu, for sparing your time for our community members. Anu Seth is the co-founder of Paid Forward. Paid Forward is a movement to spread responsible financial behavior. They conduct interactive financial education workshops to bridge the financial knowledge gap. The motto of Anu and her team of Paid Forward is to empower women and youth to take responsible and independent financial decisions. They provide financial education in a structured approach that is jargon-free, which is very, very important, right? At least, most of us feel that when people start using jargons, things all go above the head. So Anu is here to make it very, very simple for us. And we are really looking forward for this session. Over to you, Anu.
Thanks. Good evening, all. Thanks for making time. And I hope the next 40 minutes help you figure out the 2 things that I have planned for you. One being mindsets. And so we all have a set of beliefs and experiences that we use to make sense of the world, isn't it? I think somebody needs to go on mute. So I really love this. We have a young audience, and I'm sure they are going to get ingrained into money wellness right from the beginning. So kudos to whoever that is. Lovely, welcome, but we'd like to keep things on mute. I don't know who might. Vidya, you'll take care of that, yeah. So we all have a set of beliefs or experiences that help us make a sense of the world, isn't it? Those are our mindsets. Some of them come from where we belong, what we are growing up with. Some come from our role models and some come from society. So we'll explore that segment of mindsets and discuss how, what are the changes, or whether we are already in an awesome space, especially when we want to deal with money and make it work in the way we would love to enjoy it. The other segment I have for you today evening is financial myths, and I'll try and bust some of the very common ones here. So before we move on, a quick question for all of you. When I say the word money, what is the first adjective or the thought that comes in your mind? Could you just type it on the chat box? We'll keep this interactive so that the chat box is the way you can interact with me and tell me if I'm making sense or it's absolute rubbish. But yeah, so over to the chat box. When I say the word money, what is the first thought that occurs to you? Security, happiness, power, wealth. Nice, anymore? Independence. Yeah, these are some of the very strong words that reflect on how we want money to be for us. But what are our inherent thoughts that we have about money? I mean, is it immediately giving you an independence, or is there a scarcity or a hesitation or something around that also that is coming to your mind? Okay, freedom. So let's move on. Those are some very, very strong words. And I like that the audience here is confident, has looking at money for freedom, security for future savings, independence, wealth, and power. Now, and maybe some more. Keep them coming, guys. So enjoy yourself here. But the next question I would like to put to you is that even though we understand that money gives us so many positives and has an important aspect in our lives, why is it? I mean, there's enough data to show that women do not take charge of their investment. So what would be your opinion on what are the reasons women do not take charge? Back to the chat box, keep your fingers going.
And also, Anu, after the answer, can I launch the first poll?
After the answer, we could do that.
Yes, yes.
Nice. So I can see a lot of positive and mixed comments on we are judged as money-minded and rude whenever we step up financially, no clear understanding, lack of confidence, prosperity, lack of confidence, lack of knowledge, fear of failing. So a lot to do with how the social structure has shaped us. So Vidya will now launch a quick poll to capture how our audience is thinking. Vidya, go ahead.
Yes. Steffi, can you launch it?
Yeah, I think it's visible now.
Yes, yes, the poll is visible. Yeah, we see the answers coming in.
Okay, y'all are quick with your votes, guys.
Thank you,
Okay,
Steffi. You can end.
Yeah.
You can end the poll.
Yep.
Yes, Anu. Over to
Thanks.
you.
I must say this is a very smart audience, and the first myth is already busted. That yes, we can start small. So you get me another 5 minutes to speak to you. Thanks. So we'll start with small earnings. So coming to the stereotypes, as we saw in the previous answers that you guys shared, obviously, this is a lot of social conditioning and the way we ourselves are looking at money. And it's not just in India. This is prevalent across the globe. We've been doing so many sessions through COVID, and it's the same feeling everywhere. So you're not alone. Yet, on the other side, we are the ones who are the money warriors as well. Pause and think about, how much time do you spend on investment? Think about what are your financial worries? You can either unmute yourself, or if you prefer the chat box, please. The environment in the family, lack of basic education in finance, yes, no clear understanding. Yeah, these are some of the mind blocks that we have, and some of the money worries that we keep thinking about, because we are the prime caretakers within our family units. Like, whether you're a daughter or a sister or a mother or a grandparent, you're still thinking about how to look after the family. And old age and medical expenses, what will my child do, whether there will be sufficient funds for the future. Think also about what are your life goals within this thing. You are continuously thinking about other people, but what about you? Perhaps you want to take a holiday, perhaps you want to have a good and happy retirement. This is some of the chatter which is going on in the back of our minds, and some of the worries that we have, like the insufficiency of future needs, right? That is so true. But very often women do not take charge because of a combination of these two factors. And that leaves us very often unaware of our financial rights. That's really important. So you should read more and more about your financial rights. You feel insecure. Many women feel insecure despite earning handsome salaries, despite having a hefty bank balance. So what has happened over the years is because we've been the primary caregivers in the family, this is just one additional step that you'd rather not do and have somebody else do it for you. As a result, what you thought was freedom has got converted into a strong sense of insecurity and dependency. It also has left us in a very unfair spot when it comes to family settlements or emergencies, or in case there is a mis-selling happening. As you all know, women outlive men by at least 5 years. Life expectancy has already grown much bigger. So during independence, the life expectancy of an average Indian was only about 30 years. And today in 2022, the life expectancy is anywhere around 70 to 75 years. And we living in an urban setup have this further extended. Look around you. How many grandmoms do you know who are 80 plus or in that age bracket, so to say? So just coming back to the point, these stereotypes, the money worries, this feeling of dependency creates a whole lot of subconscious chatter in our minds, and stops us from moving forward. We don't know what it is that we want to do. So clearly we need to integrate what our emotional self is thinking, as well as whatever our financial person has to do. And that takes us to the topic of mindsets and what is it that we really can do. So I want you to now take the next break and think about, like the first icebreaker question that we had asked. What are the good things money has provided for you? What are the positive senses for money? Is there any role that you have, any strength that you have that you can harness for your money behavior? I like that. Comfort, being able to help each other. Take it sometimes. Confidence.
ನಂಗೆ ಪನಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತಿನ್ನಲ್ಲ ರೀ.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಧ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಲ್ಲ ನೀವ್ ಒಂದ್ ಹೇಳ್
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ mute ಮಾಡಿ. Thank you. So yeah, even Warren Buffett agrees with you, and this is a great read. Whenever you feel low on confidence, please pick up this book. Warren Buffett is one of the most well-known investors, but remember, he became well-known only after the age of 75. Till then, nobody knew him. So creating wealth is a long journey, and some of the things that he speaks about, and he says, you know, you should invest like a girl, because he thinks, you know, women are more resilient, they have a detailed approach, they are better at identifying risks, they're non-impulsive. Would you agree to any of this? Go out for a drive and just imagine that you are lost and there is a guy who is driving next to you. Is he going to ask for directions? And how are you going to be different? Are you going to ask for direction? That itself shows you that you're two different people and you probably have a different natural strength of protection and security. And we already said that women are the future planet for the society. So just know yourself first is the first thing that we've got to do. And here are some of the links. You can go and there are some 7 money personality types, and you can figure out which of these strengths is yours and what it is that you can build on. And these are some very interesting quizzes that you can do. So the point I want to leave you on this segment is that, yes, you are enough. You already have some of these strengths. Let us see how we can find a fix with what we already have. It's like, you know, when a child suddenly declares at 10:30 at night that, Mama, I need to make this project and take it tomorrow. And no matter how disheartened or angry you may get because you were not informed earlier, you'll probably go and make some quick fixes around and figure out a way to make it work. And that's the same thing that you've got to do with money. Earlier this evening, we were talking about, you know, the next event these guys are having at the consulate. I'm sure you went through the same experience, Rachita and Vidya, isn't it? So it's a little bit like that we have to make use of what we have and then move towards a positive frame of mind. So let's see some of the things that we can already do. First, change how you talk to yourself about money. Let's say you liked a beautiful purse and it's really expensive. You go and buy that purse and you have to come and tell your friends about it. What are you going to tell your friends? Are you riddled with a feeling of guilt? Do you think you have splurged? Or are you feeling happy that you made a planned purchase? Any thoughts? Happy. Nice. So think about this. Has money helped you stay healthy? That you can get the right food that you want to eat? And has it allowed you to visit some of your close people? Has it enabled you to learn new skills and be here with us to learn a further skill? So yes, money has been there. It's just our feeling and thought processes of insecurity and scarcity that sometimes puts us on a back foot. And so the first thing is that you go and change what you think about money. And you would have done this gratitude and the abundance loop in any mindful exercise. And there's a lot that people do around coaching these days. But when it comes to money, you know, the way I translated gratitude building for myself was that I use one of those calendars which has a date that you have to tear out every day. So tear out the date at the back, just write something that you liked about your money and put it in a bottle. I have a nice jar which I've kept next to it. And so when I'm really feeling low or I don't have enough money, or I'm thinking that, you know, hey, where am I going to get it? I go and read these. And it makes me immediately change how I'm thinking about money. So you've got to come up with some of your own tricks that you can do. And I'm sure there will be something that you can build in. The next thing I want to talk to you about is developing pleasant money habits. How many of you like to have a neatly organized purse? Or a neatly organized home, a neatly organized drawer or kitchen? Most of us, yes, because it's visual clutter and we don't enjoy that clutter. Our desk spaces have to be neat and tidy and everything. But think about how your financial lives are. Are they in the same structured situation? How do you go about doing it? Just build some pleasant money habits, some small things. Maybe on a weekend, you can chalk out a timetable where you are going to write down your budget. So couple it with something nice and happy that you're going to do. Let's say sit down with a glass of wine, or reward yourself with a movie, or reward yourself with even an ice cream. Keep it. You don't need to do everything very elaborate. It can be something very, very simple. And by defining these money habits and what are the things that bring you pleasure, before you reach that situation, kind of makes it very, very easy to do. So here is what I do. I have a happiness fund, and I'm one of those shoppers who's very impulsive. So depending on, and I know that when I'm down, I want to go window shopping. So when I'm going to go shopping, whether I buy one dress or two dresses or three dresses, the guilt that I'll go through when I come back is going to be the same. The feeling of pleasure while I'm shopping is going to be the same. So I've defined something called the happiness fund. And this is the fund that I dip into whenever I want. And I keep it in cash, and I keep it in a very, very attractive envelope in my purse. So that is something that you can think of. Anything that comes to your mind that you would like to share? Anyone wants to share anything here? Okay, then we move on to the next. Define your room for error. You know, when you embark on this journey that we are doing with several sessions of financial literacy, when you get on this, you will realize that you will be met with a mindset where you feel you have to be perfect. You have to excel at what you want to do. But very often we are not an Excel spreadsheet, you know. You'll read so many mantras who will say that you have to disconnect yourself from your financial decisions and just look at the numbers and take an action. But in reality, we are a total person who comes, whether we come to work, whether we go and look at our finances, we are a complete person. So you've got to be more realistic and practical with what, rather than trying to be perfect. So how do we do this? You define a certain amount of error that you can do. Let's say you've made an investment. So you predefine that this investment can go down by 5 or 10%, and I will not be uncomfortable about it. So once you have pre-decided and pre-thought about that number, you will find yourself at an easier place, and you'll be able to deal with that situation much better. You'll be able to deal with that situation much better. The other thing is that this is, again, you know, as women, we are continuously comparing ourselves to other people around us. By all means, please compare. Maybe compare yourself to and write a narrative about I am richer than. So you can think about in what money ways you are better off than some of the people that around you that you know. How will I know? What is our risk appetite? Yeah, Rashmi, that's a great question on defining the room for error. So as you go about skilling yourself, you will figure that also out. So once you decide that you can embark this journey and there can be a room for error, the next thing you would do is probably step into figuring out how the risk is. And you can already see the question is flowing so smoothly in your mind, and you are at the next step. So you learn how to use money as a resource. Very often we get caught up with FOMO and feel like, you know, we missed out on something. But I suggest you define what your pleasures are. So whether it's going to be, and be careful of lifestyle inflation. So it's very easy to upgrade yourself just because your friend is doing it. Even if it's like, even when you're traveling from an economy class to a business class, or going to a CCD versus going to a Starbucks, it's extremely easy to inflate our lifestyle, but we seldom understand the long-term impact of this, because it's easy to form a new habit, but it's very difficult to give up a habit. And you would have seen that with anything, where think exercise, it's everything in very, very small steps, and you've got to keep at it and increase your bandwidth step by step, do programs which will help you, and always think of the community and the positive outcome that you are going to benefit, that you are going to get out of a program like this or any other program. I'm not talking any rocket science. Everything's available on Google. It's just that we need to understand what are we looking at and why are we looking for it. So let's go back to the money exercise. Do you feel, now close your eyes and think about an ocean full of money, and you choose your container and pick out a bucket load of money and think about it myself. Think about this statement: I will happily spend money on any planned purchase. And say this to yourself, and you can choose what your container is. And with gratitude, you pull that out and go and use this money on whatever your choice of goal was. And now I want to hear from you. What was the container that you chose? Anyone? A water tanker. Ankita, this is awesome, because you had a choice of what kind of container and how much money you want. And I'm glad that you chose the biggest that you can think of. It's all coming your way, and you have to allow acceptance into that. And this is just how you move from a limiting mindset towards a growth mindset. And Sonali has gone even bigger. She has an ocean, and she's got a drain coming right into her house to use money and benefit from money and have the resource available to her all the time. So I hope this has been an interesting exercise for you on money mindsets. Whenever you get shaky, you can go and look up the YouTube video. I'll be right there speaking to you about the same thing. And with that, we move to the next one. Maybe some of you are still in denial and thinking about me like this and want to say that, okay, I'm going to run out from here, and what nonsense is Anu speaking to me about? But I won't leave you there. I'll take you further to bust some money myths. And these are some of the common things where we go wrong. So yeah, is saving same as investing? Anyone? No. Yeah, they're different. Savings is, so in the generally the equation in our mind is income minus expenses is the savings that we do. Out of the savings, we invest. So investment is basically future income. It is the money that you put away, in a way, either creating an asset or buying a financial product, which is a financial asset, to give you returns in the future or give you income in the future. And most of us think of income minus expenses as savings. So that what happens is expenses is very, very fluid. And very often, especially with youngsters, I find that they don't have enough savings and they lean on their credit card, etc. So I always tell them that they need to reverse the equation and make it income minus savings is their expense. So if you automate your savings and do that first, then this is a very easy myth to break, because your savings will become constant. And once you have it won't take you too long before you think of how my savings are working while I'm working and how can I invest them better. The next one I want to talk to you about is, do you need a lot of money to start investing? All of you have already said no. So, but how many of you have actually started investing with a small sum of money? And how many have actually thought about how they are going to increase this sum of money? So we've all done compounding in our middle school. But you know, compounding really works when we start investing. You see it in your dosa batter, you see it in the way trees work, and you just plant a tree and it blooms and there'll be multiple trees if you wait for it. But the thing is, compounding takes a lot of time. And I'll be speaking further in detail about this in a later session. But yeah, you don't need a lot of money to start investing. What you need and what works maximum in your favor is the amount of time you allow the money to grow. So the next one is how many, a regular chit fund or an SIP is what you guys have started. Yeah, that's a very disciplined method of investing. So that's a great start, Sonali and JK. An emergency fund is blocked money. What do you think about this? Shweta, you are at an amazing point to learn money skills, because I picked it up on a career break, and I think every career break can be used to create a newer you, going back to the growth mindset. So you don't need to stop saving because you're not working. I think as women, we'll be able to find those little pockets of money no matter where we are. Emergency fund is usually not a blocked money. But when I say park your money away with no expectation of interest, most investors get confused and they say, oh my God, I'm going to keep 6 months of my expenses in just a savings account. Let me just invest it, and when I need it, I can withdraw from that. That is an extremely wrong approach to do when it comes to emergency fund. Remember the word emergency, it strikes without warning. It can come anytime, and we've seen that happen during COVID all around us. So emergency fund is a fund where you do not have any money expectations or any expectations of interest. What it should be, where we should park, and all that is part of our next session. So buying the home in your 20s, is it better than renting one? What do you guys have to say? This one is always very interesting. Yeah. So why do we buy a home? Are we buying because we have, so remember that most of us buy a home by taking a home loan. A home loan basically means you will start paying interest. Whereas when you do an investment in something like a chit fund or SIP, you are earning that interest. Even if you were keeping it in an FD, you are earning that interest. By signing up for by signing up to pay interest early on in your earning stage, you actually reduce the time you have for compounding when you get to investing. And that is the financial reason why buying a home in the 20s is not a great idea. But look at the other aspects. Very often we don't know where we are going to be. Our specifications for the house are not clearly outlined. Most people buy a home either because the interest rates are low, or you've seen a hoarding or seen a place with those, like, you'll see a hoarding where you have this couple with a cute dog as well, and an absolutely clear large lawn. Have you really seen that kind of a scenario in any apartment complex? Not really. And the other reason is that we see that a lot of our seniors, the previous generation, had buying a home as one of the biggest Indian dreams, and we kind of get carried away with them as role models. So whilst everyone should have a home, doing this really early on is a risk that you take. The question that you need to ask yourself is, do I have surplus money that I can continue paying for 15, 20 years? Is there an alternate to this money? Definitely, if you have this as a surplus, you should think about where you are going to invest it, right? So whether you're going to put it in an EMI or you're going to put it in an equated monthly investment, which is an SIP, rather than an equated monthly installment. That is something that you've got to see. Will your specifications of the home remain the same? It's going to get tougher and tougher to buy and sell homes only because the supply and demand situation is extremely different. We are all very mobile people, we want to move jobs across, we want to be able to relocate easily, but this physical asset, which is very, very illiquid, becomes like a tight spot. So think about postponing this expenditure, especially when you are in your 20s, and benefiting from the power of compounding by investing well. 30s is too early to think of retirement. What do you? Devi, it's already too late. Yes, this is a bit like a V-shaped software development model, where, you know, the moment you, or like designing a home, the moment you think about buying a home, you start thinking about the curtains that you want to have. So similarly, we should start thinking of retirement as soon as possible, because if you don't have a goal, retirement is definitely one of your goals. And money loses its value over a period of time because of a phenomena called inflation. And inflation can really be beaten if you invest early and benefit from the power of compounding. So 30s is not too early to think of retirement. And what are the factors? Of course, we are going to be talking about that later. Now, this one, my nominee is the rightful owner of my FD. Who do you think is a nominee? So the nominee is a person who you've declared to the bank, and the nominee has to reach out to the bank in case something happens to you, and in case something happens to the individual and they pass away, then the nominee has to reach out to the bank, and they are a mere custodian of that money. They are not a beneficiary of that money. So take, for example, I have 2 daughters, and I have put my older daughter as a nominee in all my FDs. Does that mean my younger daughter is not a rightful owner? That is wrong. She's an equal owner of this. So it has to go by the Succession Act. So this is where, and we're finding that a lot of women don't know about this. And we just assume that our kids are the rightful owners. But for a Hindu man, the wife and the children are the legal heirs, and the wife has an equal right in the man's assets. So one has to be careful of who you are choosing as a nominee. Sometimes the nominee themselves don't know about this. So they may end up, you know, having a lot of friction about this situation. Take the same situation in, so it varies. So I'll put you another question. Let's say a girl has a property which she has built with her own money, her own income and savings, and she passes away without any legal heirs, which means no children and no husband. Who does this property go to? It could be property, it could be jewelry, it could be FD, it could be anything.
I guess it goes to the spouse's family.
Unfortunately, yes, the laws in the country are still thinking that women they're still objectifying us, and women are still considered as an object, and the property and the assets go to the in-laws. Now, which of us wants to give money to the in-laws? So this goes to the in-laws, and in case of an absence of in-laws, it goes to the husband's siblings, like the brother-in-law, etc. So how does one correct it? This is the law of the land. Ensure that as a woman, you have written your will. And ensure you've written your will. It's extremely easy to write. You can go and Google, and you can just write it here as well. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it's very, very important that you can write your own will and ensure that after you, money gets passed on to the person of your choice and does not go into wrong hands or gets lost in the nominee misunderstanding. Because there are so many court cases. Not everybody is blessed with like an equal sibling or an equal uncle. So when I did my first FD, I put my brother as the nominee because we were in the same city. It was just easier, but I never changed it. So you don't know how things are going to be, right? So in every family, there is one crook. So we have to keep thinking of that as well. So just put all these things in perspective, and it's extremely important for every woman to know her financial rights as well. Yes. And this is what, so now we come to how do we really behave and what it is that we can do and how do we change. Yeah, there are a lot of ifs and buts about property law, about nominee will, about insurance, and there's so many myths that need to be busted. As investors, we have to spend time in figuring out these and understanding where we are going wrong and not just go with common knowledge. So yeah, most of us buy an insurance product as our first investment the moment we start earning. I was one of them. Have any of you done that?
Yeah.
Yes, sadly, a lot of us. So in our sessions, it's like the whole group has their hands up. And very often we just go and buy a financial product. So I get asked this question the most, what can you tell me what product to buy, or can you tell me where to invest? But it's a bit like, me getting into a car and asking me, what is the destination that you have to key in your Google Maps? I don't know which car, I don't know which route, I do not know whether you have petrol or you don't have petrol. So I possibly can't define that for you. Personal finance is extremely personal. So be careful, get involved, and move away from a haphazard method of doing towards a structured method of creating your financial plan. All of us have done that. Think about the time when you were preparing for your exam. Think about a time when you're going to have a party at home. We are all structured. We are all doing a planning. Think about your own project at work. We are all doing this. And this is what we are telling our children. So we've got to pull up our socks and become role models who are more structured. And instead of doing a trial and error kind of decision making, let's move towards a more informed decision. Information is available to you at a click of a button. So if today anyone says, I don't know where to read, that would not be the right, it kind of reflects that you're not committed to it. A lot of us are interested, but it's all about committing and getting down to do it. It's not hard. If you plan your emergency fund properly, then instead of struggling in an emergency, there would be a plan. The periodic monitoring is, yes, the periodic monitoring is a very, very important takeaway and a must to do. So it's something like the little calendar habit that I was talking to you of, or creating your own monthly financial hygiene, or having a connect with your future self. So just sit down and open a little Excel sheet on where your money is. The younger you start this, it becomes a habit, and the better it is. And yes, do not fall prey to mis-selling. Remember, when you are buying a financial product, you only know half the information. That is why you are buying the product. The other half is why he is selling the product, or why she's selling the product. That is their targets. And it's, unfortunately, it's a circular economy, and we do get caught into this. So it's extremely important that we ask the right questions. I have a couple of questions that I listed out for you. So if we know ourselves better and we know what we are looking for, from buying a financial product or making a financial plan becomes much, much easier. And we'll be doing a deep dive into all these topics in the coming weeks. So what is your personal goals and dreams? Why should you ask these questions? Do you have any dependents? Answer for yourself. Do I have any surplus that I can really invest? What can be the frequency of my earnings? So if I'm a freelancer, I may not get an income flow every month. It may be lumpy. Or if I'm a stay-at-home mom, then there may be a break in my earning. So it's important to understand what your frequency is and how much time can you give. Why is it necessary? Because it will help you decide what is the kind of financial product that you buy, what is the amount of insurance that you need, what is the surplus for saving, whether you should do lump sum investing or an SIP kind of investing, and what is the kind of service that you require. Do you need to get to a mutual fund? Can you use an automated platform? Do you need a personal financial advisor? So all these things become clearer to you when you ask some of these basic questions. And with that, I'll leave you with some suggestions on how you can build your financial knowledge. And we are here to help you through this journey. So this is a great read, Psychology of Money. And I've picked some points from here as well today. And it's a very, very easy read. So you just have to kind of flip through it. And it's available even on Audible. Scriptbox, I love the blogs there because they talk about all situations that we may have in a very practical way. And the suggestions are also more holistic. They tell you the pros and cons of everything. This is a new podcast, Paisa Vaisa by Anupam Gupta. And I think these days you can just plug your earphones, whether you're traveling, or most of us are back to offline work. So whether you're traveling or whether you're just at any time of leisure or anyway, I listen to podcasts on my walk. So this is a good one that I found, and I'll keep sharing more and more resources with you. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Anu, if we can request you to share those links on the personality test that you had initially asked members to do in the chat box. I think we can all do that homework.
I'll just put it on the chat box.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
So then can I do a stop share and I'll just get to the sticky notes. Yeah. Thanks guys for listening in, and you can please ask me all your questions, and we have a poll as well. Meanwhile, I'll send you the links.
So if any one of you are having any questions, please put it in the chat box, or you're free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you. Either you guys are very bored or very zapped. There are no questions. Did you suggest investing in stocks? Is it too risky? Investing in stocks without understanding is definitely extremely risky. But if not investing in stocks at all, inflation is something which is reducing the real power of your money. So there has to be a balancing act. And the first steps would be understanding the risk and how do you overcome it, and skilling yourself towards that. Until you get there, you can use a professional service like mutual funds to benefit from the power of compounding that equity as an asset class offers. How do we trust a weak wealth manager to seek financial? I think she's asking, where do we find a wealth manager?
Suma, you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yes, yeah, hi Anu. Yeah, that was my question. Just to, how do we really trust a financial wealth manager, that they would be giving us the right set of investments? Because many times we do find the wealth managers are also tied to their own, agencies of insurance or, mutual funds or, some sort of a organization. And somehow they kind of drive and pushes towards, their products and, their linked investments and things like that. So how do we really find a trustworthy or good wealth managers who will possibly provide us good financial investment details?
So Suma, first thing, there is no replacement for your own homework. You've got to do a little bit of your homework and understand what the person is selling, and be very upfront and ask them. So once you understand what are the kind of questions that you should ask, and I think the series will help you with that. And you understand the product, if you can ask them what their sales pitch is, you'll be able to pick those aspects and see whether the product is the right fit for your financial plan. So there are two ways. Either you take a financial planner who's going to help you create a plan, or if you're doing a do-it-yourself kind of approach, then you need to understand why you're investing, what is the time for which you're investing, and what is the kind of risk that you are taking. Basis that, you have this conversation with the person who's selling you the financial product. And these days you can just ask them openly, what is your target and what's the commission that you're getting out of it? And is this a fair commission to be paying? Would he buy it for himself? Those are some of the very basic questions. Don't go by just being nice and being pursued by a relationship manager. That's the fear one has to overcome. And I think as a society, we are more relational. So if there's somebody who keeps pursuing you, you end up buying from them. So be careful with that and try and look at it from a transactional point. And remember, you are solely responsible for your financial well-being. So read up on the product. Yeah, read up on what you're looking to buy, and never buy a product impulsively and never sign anywhere. So if you have something, tell them to send it to you in a mail. Take your time, read about it, and then get back. And I've seen this happening very often during the tax saving segment. This is a live experience where we went to a STP and there were two banks who had put up their umbrella and stalls and during lunch, and people were walking. As they were walking towards the canteen, they would just stop there because they'd not done an advanced planning. And then, whatever was there for them in the last minute, they did that. So avoid the last minute hustle, and take your time to understand the product before you buy it. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Anu. JK has a question. So JK, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question?
At early stage of business, how I have to spend the money, I am asking.
Yeah.
As mine is product business, so I have to take the 15 days products worth I have to take first, or 30 days like that, or how I have to spend, or for advertisement like that, I'm asking.
Yeah. So if you're in a product business, likely you're getting chased by a lot of marketeers who want to offer you their services and say that, here, this is the marketing plan and this will get you better business. So the steps that you have to take is, first and foremost, because you're an entrepreneur, ensure your emergency fund is neatly earmarked, and define the money you're going to use for the business. Do not mix your personal finance and business finance. Because remember, when we talk about personal finance, we think debt is not the right thing to do. But when you're talking about business finance, maybe, as the business expands, there is a role there. So do not mix the two. That is the first step to do. Then the product business has to be clearly established. Before you spend any money, figure out how you are going to get that back. Is it translating into a revenue stream? Be clear about how the money is getting used. Not every business needs visibility, and find the right places by which you can market yourself and be out there. So these are some of the ways that you can reduce some of the entrepreneurship expense. Of course, there will be reasons to spend on the product and getting the product right, etc. Those kind of expenses have to be incrementally taken care of.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Maybe we'll take the last question. Harita, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey, we're able to hear you.
Yeah. Actually, I would like to learn more about the investments and how to make money through a good source. Like YouTube has so many, so many people are making videos and all. So it's like we can't just go ahead with what they are saying. So is there any way that I can follow some professional source me in my 40s? I can't go to a college or university and learn all that.
Yeah.
So what other ways can I to increase my knowledge about investments?
Yeah, thanks, Harita. That's a very smart question. I think one can easily get carried away with finfluencers and podcasts, but remember that they are not they don't come to you in a structured manner, and you could be just looking at one aspect of things. So you
Yes.
really picked that issue quite well. I think both, I mean, I don't know of too many channels who can give you a structured approach, but my company, Pay It Forward, we do have a structured program for financial education, and so does Neha, who have been the partners here. Simran or Vidya, do you have you all identified any other partners for this?
So we will, we are now going ahead with Pay It Forward and Womenista. So we are having a lot of other sessions planned. So the next, 6 weeks, we have some interesting sessions planned. So Harita, have a look out on your newsletters. You'll be receiving regular updates from us. And you will also get a guidance on how you can, get into a structured approach on your investment learning and other stuff as well.
Yeah.
That's great. I'll be looking forward to it. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we have, I mean, though that I said that was the last question, I think we have one more question from Srilata. So maybe with that, we will go to the closing session. So Srilata, if you quickly want to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, so with respect to what you said, right, I guess, I mean, we need to have a will which clearly defines who are the beneficiaries, right? Otherwise, nominations are not enough. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that that thing is really, I know, because even if, one person dies, the other person is there, then, I mean, the way it distributes, I've tried to read the Hindu Succession Act and then totally got lost in the, wind of things. So then I realized I need to have a will.
Yes, I think.
But then I also read, like, when you do a, common will, right, between husband and wife, that also creates some problems. If you want to later on amend it after one of the spouses, right, dies or something, then in later part, if you want to, update, there is some problem again. But
yes, Srilata, you picked on the points really well. So it is, so when there is no friction, having a will is an add-on, but when there is friction, the will is your only go-to place. And to that extent, I think it should be a registered will. Somehow we are, so you see, we are coming back to the social structure again, where, structurally, if you go and talk to like if I go and talk to my parents or you go and talk to your parents, they're like, hello, do you want me to die or what? Isn't that a very natural response from them? So it's almost like and Bollywood does justice, right? You only see an old person who's struggling to write and somebody holding a gun on their head, and only then they'll sign a will. So it's how we are seeing it around us. And also, as the laws are changing, the right of the girl child on property has changed, but traditionally we are still talking about money going and staying within the same family line, headed by the male gene pool kind of thing. So these are some social vis-a-vis the law of friction which is happening. And the example that I quoted to you, I mean, any of us would want to feel empowered and say that, hey, this is my property, it should not go to my in-laws. I mean, if the guy's property is going to the in-laws, my property should go to my parents, to the respective parents, right? So, but laws are generally, they lag behind, and they are an indication of how our society is changing. So writing a will is an extremely important part. It's very easy to do. You just take a piece of paper, you just have to say, I'm in a sane mind, and get 2 witnesses to sign. The witness need not be part of who you're giving your money to. And these days, not just the jewelry or the little iPhone that you have, even your Facebook accounts and any of your IDs also need a will before anyone else can take charge of them. So I think somewhere down the line, they will make it mandatory. And when you coming to your suggestion, your thought on the common will, see, so the common will is written with the purpose that this is what both of them have agreed will happen after them. So one spouse changing it is kind of an unfair deal. So that's why it's not changed. So once you have a common will, then the lady or the guy, whoever's left behind, can create another will with their segment of the inheritance or their portion of what is there in the will, but they cannot touch the portion written by the deceased party.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anu. Steffi, I request you to quickly launch the last poll.
Yep. Yep, y'all can see it on the screen now.
We'll wait for 5 more seconds so that if anybody wants to attempt the poll, please go ahead.
Okay, I'll be ending the poll now, guys. Yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Steffi. Thank you so much, Anu, for this such an insightful session. I'm sure, most of us, the will part of it especially was something that was really an eye-opener. I think most of us weren't even aware about that fact. So thank you so much. It was such an insightful session. And thank you, audience, for staying, with us in this evening. Though I know it's past 7:30, but you guys stay put, and thank you so much for that. And we have our next session planned on the 24th November, 6 to 7, on the topic Understanding Financial Security and How to Build It. And it's going to be done by Neha Singh of Feminista. Do join us. And please refer your friends to sign up to the community so that they can get to know more about what we do at Aspire for Her. You can see the link in the chat box. For any further queries, we have also shared our email address, sheknowsmoney@aspireforher.org. Do write to us, share your feedback. Any specific queries, please do write to us. We'll get the answers from Anu and Neha, and we will respond to you back. Thank you so much, and you all have a great evening.
Thank you, Vidya, Ruchita, Simran. Thank you for having me in this evening. It has been a very, very nice and interactive audience. I enjoyed it. Thanks. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.